Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us on another edition of Viewpoint on DBS television. The week has been full with a lot of tragic incidents, particularly accidents that have happened. I'm talking of the one that happened at Nchang Hill, leaving almost 53 deaths. And this morning, we have reports that another accident has happened still in Bati, and though the deaths have not yet been reported, we are still waiting up to that. And by so doing, Viewpoint and DBS as a whole is extending entire condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones. Probably if we have had much time, we would have taken a minute of silence for all those that have died. But unfortunately, we could just extend our heartfelt condolences to the families. In tonight's edition, we are honored to have Tamfu Jones as our guest. He's a journalist, and we'll be talking about the participation of African youth in leadership in their countries. Good evening to you, Tamfu Jones, and wish you a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to the viewers. I think this is the first edition that I am into this year with. It is sad what's happening in Cameroon lately. In less than a week, we've had about three, because yesterday there was another one in Betua that took 2 lives. One of our authorities and his younger brother, they all died in that accident. Even though for the past years we have had agencies being suspended because they were involved in a ghostly road accident, but unfortunately it seems that has not been the solution at all, because every day the same thing keeps repeating itself. So we hope that in the days ahead, the government will see how they will put in measures to limit, because we can never cancel road accidents. They should limit the occurrences of accidents in this country.
Thank you very much, Jones, for coming. Manga Venatius, you're welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good evening, and good evening to our viewers. In the same light, I was reading something this morning about the other victims of the accident. Vanessa, we are talking of only 53 cases of death. Official numbers that were released, those are the people who died on the spot. But the number keeps increasing, because as of yesterday, one of the wounded, those who were wounded, died in the hospital, and we don't know what would happen in the course of today. Since this morning I've not heard anything, but we pray that it should end with it like that, because if not,
and this morning we heard again of another one in Bati,
another
still
one
in the West region.
Yes, and so those are the way 2021 is opening. I remember when the accident occurred on the 27th, one newspaper talked of it as the 27th day of the year, with so many lives already claimed. Because if you have to count how many people have died in this 2021,
I think statistics shows that there are over 200.
200
since this year began.
Since 2021.
2021 began, there are over 200 people have lost their lives in motor accident.
This is not a good sign at all for 2021.
For 2021.
And Vanessa, to add a bit to what he is saying, talking about identification. Now, yesterday it was 53, or the official number, and we have a 70-seater bus that collided with the truck carrying fuel. Now, when we look at the border that left Douala, we had 37 names on that border. And at the end of the day, more than 50 people have died. It means that there are families that will not have their young ones identified. I mean, their loved ones identified, because many who were in the bus were not identified. They were not recorded at the level of the agency.
They were carried on
and now there are all the identification documents that may have carried on them got burned. They will not be identified. So corpses that were burned beyond recognition, and some that were burned maybe that have fallen into the bushes, nobody will be able to identify them, and that's another problem that is rising, which throws all accusation or responsibility to the drivers who pass all their time picking passengers by the roadside.
Even besides that,
I'm sorry, because that is not our main topic for discussion. Yes, I would have loved us to talk about the topic, but we hope that with the debates going on all other media, a lot of people are being informed and educated about the things happening in and out of Cameroon. That said, let us take the first part of the show. In our first question, African youth are missing in leadership positions in their countries. Any reason for this? Tamfu Jones, I'll begin with you. Yes or no?
There's no reason.
There's no reason. Manga Venashus, do you think there is any?
There is, Vanessa.
There is.
Yes.
And does the absence have any impact in their countries? Manga Venashus?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Jones?
Yes.
Yes. Let us have the debate. According to an observation made, African youths are missing in leadership positions in their countries, and we are trying to find out, is there any reason why they do not take part as far as leading a nation is concerned? Tamfu Jones, your point of view, you think that there is no reason why these youth are absent?
I think there's no reason to an extent, and to an extent there's a reason.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you can see that Africa is politically still premature. Politically, it is premature that many African, especially the youth, they take little or no interest in what politics is all about, and this has made it that the old people have taken power hostage, and they have just ignore and abandon the youthful population, which consists over 70% of the African population. And these ones now are helpless in the streets, jobless and anguishing, and most of them have soaked themselves into alcoholism to maybe forget about their issues, their day-to-day troubles and all that. But the question I've been asking myself is, why is it that, when I say no, because this youth accept their fate the way it is. Because if I tell you that with the youth consists about 70% of the African population, it means that if they stand up and say, no, this old man, you have to leave. Do you know that Mr. Biya came to power? I will take an example of Cameroon, which is my country where I live. Mr. Biya came to power in 1982. But then I don't know if my parents had the plans to put to bed a creature called Jones Danfo. Yes, I was not born then. So if I had died now, like many of my mates have already died, I will only know one president. I will never enjoy what is called a political transition, because Mr. Biya has been there for over 38 years now, and I'm growing old and my hair is getting grey, and I have no hope. I keep hearing the same name, because when you look critically, if you are to dig deep into the political sphere, you realize that almost all those who surround Mr. Biya are those with whom he left the Ahijo administration. So we see a clique of human beings, old in nature, who have taken power hostage and pushed the youth away from it. Because and most of the time you hear them talk, the way they talk, they give an impression that the youth have nothing to offer as long as leadership is concerned. Meanwhile, the young Africans are very, very talented. They are talented, they are gifted. They have leadership skills. When you look critically, those that leave Africa and go to the West, they are excelling. They're excelling and they're developing the Western countries, which these our leaders leave here to go and take treatment when they fall sick, because they are unable to build a medical infrastructure in their own countries. And when they go there, at times they are shameful to see that the medical doctor who is to attend to them is one of their children from their own country, a doctor from their own country who has left the country because of the way it functions. Unfortunately, when these guys who are in power now, most of them started abroad, but all what they will copy from abroad and bring back to Africa and to Cameroon in particular are evil things. Evil things, I would not like to be recounting them here because it's not good for the ears to hear. So the youth have accepted, as a French man would say, that c'est la patate qui avait accepté qu'on le mange cru. That means sweet potato accepted to be eaten raw. But cocoyam refused that it will not be eaten raw, because when you eat cocoyam raw, it itches. So if the African youth have said that we are sweet potato, you the old people, you can feed on us like girls, then
is it not because these old people have not given them the opportunity to hold these leadership positions? Because I'm not sure out of the 70% of the youths that we have in Africa, all of them have decided that no, we have no interest in leading a nation or getting involved in politics.
They have decided. Look, for instance, in Cameroon. Mr. Professor Maurice
Kamto, okay.
Said okay, even though he's not a youth, he's he wants to take power, but he's not that youthful. He's about 67 years.
No, if we're talking of a youth, maybe we should be calling a Cabral Lipi
myself as a youth, because I can still be the president of this nation.
Of course.
I have the capability and
the dream.
Yes, so
and the dream.
Because we are talking about this old man. When I say the youth have accepted, when they say, okay, come out and denounce, let's push these people and say that enough is enough, they say, I have eaten my fish, I have drunk a bottle of liquor, why should I come out and be tear gassed by some police officer?
But actually, you are giving the reasons why they are afraid to go out, because I'm
telling you, look, in Cameroon, they are not up to 10,000 police officers, and that means the police officers, the gendarmes, and the customs all mixed together with the soldiers. They're not up to 10,000 in number. They're not up to 10,000. Given that if Cameroonians should come out in Douala, 10,000 of them in number, the police will have nothing to do. And in Douala, there are more than 10,000.
Anyway, the policemen are armed men, and
they are armed on that day. They cannot shoot 10,000 people with bullets. So we have accepted our fate. We the youth, because when I say the youth are also part of it. But in my own case is that I struggle, because on air I try to sensitize and I try to say what disturbs me, and I believe there's somewhere who always listen and say, maybe that one is a hungry one, because I am talking alone. Now we are saying that these old people should leave power, because you will be shocked to know that if you go to Yaoundé, you take some of those old ministers, some of those old brains, you put them in front of a computer, they will not be able to operate it. They won't, because it is not of their age, and they have no interest to do it. So, because look, when they are all in power, the country has no future, because these people know that in 5 years, 10 years time, they will no more be alive. So why should they worry themselves about building the country?
Thank you very much.
A youth who has future.
Mr. Jones, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your point of view. Let us have that of Mangavenashus, who thinks that there are reasons why these youths are missing in leadership positions. Mangavenashus.
Yes, Vanessa, I want to thank Mr. Jones for beginning with this issue of sit-tight leaders who have refused to go, leaders who have refused even to die. Because, yes, I said to die because you see somebody whose grandchild is jobless. I say not the child. The grandchild is jobless, and he is still in public service. He is still serving. He is still in Cameroon working. And because we are talking about African youths, and we must begin from the known to the unknown. We begin from our own immediate environment to the broader perspective of Africa. Because what obtains here obtains in other countries too, most African countries. Vanessa, we have gone past that era where they used to sing to us that youths are the future leaders of tomorrow. Future leaders of tomorrow, because they know that these two words, future and tomorrow, they will never come. Because each day there is always a future and there is always a tomorrow. So when they keep telling us that we are future leaders of tomorrow, before the year 2000, they were telling, everybody expected by the year 2000, things will be like this. Nothing has happened. Those very future leaders of tomorrow are still waiting. They are still waiting for when the old people will go away. And they have refused to go away. So when Mr. James Jones was speaking, I was just saying that these sit-tight leaders, they are the reason why the young people are missing in leadership positions in Africa. Vanessa, let me take, for example, Cameroon. Like I said, we look at the political climate in Cameroon. We had the institution of some structures, they call it decentralization. Look at all the 10 regional presidents. There is no young man. All of them are civil servant. I was a former this, I was a this, I was a former mayor. Someone will say I was a mayor in this, I was a parliamentarian in this, and now you are coming again to be regional president. Someone will say I was the DO of this. Now you are coming. Some are already retired civil servants. They are coming back. Mr. Jones said something, and I want to take it from there. That is why the country is the way it is. Because they themselves, they don't see any future again. They don't know what they are looking for again tomorrow. So all what they want is sit there and eat the money. They don't want to develop the country because they don't foresee them, passing their immediate, days. That is why they don't have any planning. Like a young man You will be planning that in 10 years, in 20 years, I will be doing this. In 20 years, I will be this. In 20
I
years,
should have done this.
I would have done this. This means to them, I can die tomorrow. That is their plan. I can die any moment. So let me make hay while the sun is still shining. So let me eat in as much as long as it lasts. They don't budget anything. And by so doing, they do everything it takes to keep them away from leadership position. When regional elections were being organized, the national president of the CPDM party came up with a circular instructing that a certain proportion should be given to the youth, a certain proportion should be given to women. That was completely sidelined, ignored. How many young people are mayors? How many young people are in this
regional councillors?
They are not. Because they want to keep them away so that they manage it. Because they know if a young man comes in, he would reason faster than them. He would contradict their initial way of doing things. By so doing, he will highlight their, their insensitivity to the needs of Cameroonians. He will highlight their weaknesses. And by so doing, people will not see that they are doing nothing. Vanessa, when a parliamentarian is in office for 20 years, for 30 years, there's something wrong. Go back to his constituency and look at what he's doing in that constituency for 20 years. That's why I always say that if this country wanted to, to progress, we should be able to evaluate some of these government representatives. Because they end up doing, if you're a parliamentarian for 1, 2, 3 mandates, and there is nothing to show for in your locality except some few textbooks and exercise books that you buy in September, August, September, because you want to be re-elected, you are not fit to be a parliamentarian. Because you don't have anything to show for. So that is why they always make everything to keep the young people aside, and they remain them this 80, 90 remain in power because they don't want them to challenge them.
I would just take the recent case of the elections that happened in Uganda with Bobby Wine as a youth,
a very young, dynamic candidate who was coming up for the country,
and who was being massively supported by other youths.
Of course, but the election turned the way it used to be in Africa. That's another strategy. I was to come to it. The electoral process, they always do everything to make sure that they keep you. And these old people, they argue that what an old man sees while sitting down, a young man cannot see while standing up. That was then when they kept deceiving us. And those are the slogans that kept us away from leadership, and it's still keeping many today. Because they still say, like a young man, or like an old man, what I know, you cannot know. That's a lie. Like a young man, what I know, an old man cannot know. I cannot. I can reason for 4 hours. Tell me these old people who sit in parliament for 3, 4 hours, they tell them that they're reasoning. What type of reasoning are they carrying out?
Talking about what an old man can say, a young man cannot see. We should not forget that thieves also grow old, and fools also grow old. So a foolish old man can see nothing, and a thief who is old can see nothing that a young man can see. A young honest man can see things better than an old man who has been a thief all his life, a 419er.
Actually, so that's why in psychology they will tell you that there are people with old heads on young shoulders. And most of our young people, John said it, when they go out here, you see them out there. Look at the doctors. The recent coronavirus vaccine that was administered on President
Joe Biden.
Was he not an African? Was he not a Cameroonian doctor? Where is she? Why is she out there? If she were here in Cameroon, would she be a doctor in a hospital? Would she be a director in any government hospital? No, she would not. They would take an old head. Because appointments here are done on what I mean by the political climate, on political compensation. Once you're a good militant, you of course of a party, you will automatically be given a post. No time to find out what you can do. So I think that, and then another issue is the educational system that they are giving to us. Vanessa, the colonial master tailored the educational system into making us become laborers and not, trying to administer. Because once we remain laborers, they will lord on us, and our leaders have taken that position of colonialism, and they are keeping imposing on us. That is why they keep. When you look at how many people graduate from a university, I mean,
I think that youth are becoming cautious, and they now know the right path to follow.
They're
gradually becoming conscious.
That is the recent trend, and we are going to have the impact of that awareness, of that reawakening, only when these old people will go away. when we give them the opportunity to put into practice that which they are learning. Because when you ask them after graduating from school, what do they do? You graduate from school and then you join the political wing. You join the political wing of a party and you remain militating there. When it comes to election of a mayor, no, they keep you aside. Election of regional councillors, they keep you aside. Election of senators, and they keep you aside. Parliamentarians, they keep you aside. What do they want?
Thank you very much. Man gave us reason why youth are not involved in leadership positions. So, given that they are not involved, what are some of those effects or consequences in their country? Tamfo Jones, so how does that impact the development or the day-to-day functioning of their countries?
Well, backward. The country does not move forward because the old men are visionless. They don't have vision. They don't care about the country. No love for the country. They are not patriotic. They think that patriotism is supporting a particular political party, and that is a problem, because when you talk things that may help in nation building, they consider you to be the enemy of the nation, and those who say things that will not help the nation to grow, but support the ideologies or the selfish interests of a particular political platform, it's considered a patriot. Look at what's happening in Cameroon. They told us while we were in the primary school that we are the leaders of tomorrow. Today, my daughter is in the primary school. They are still telling her that she is the leader of tomorrow. Who am I leading? If I'm even at the point, I can say I'm at the level where you can even talk to people, and even talking to people may educate some, reawaken some, but I am not where I wanted to be. I am not where I dreamed to be. I have not been given the opportunity that I should be given. I have tried, I have opened a company. Taxes and conditions, I fell it down. I am saying so because some viewers in the house will sit and say, what have we done? We just sit and complain. We have done it. We have opened companies in our tax system. They say that you pay tax on what you have had in as profit, as income, but you don't have any income. But the people want you to pay taxes. Are you understanding? And the market is very tough. That it's the country, the system, everywhere is politicized. And now it makes it that, because they say we the youth should become entrepreneur. You try to open a little business, taxes climb on you. Before you know it, you close down. And you go again to work. The government says that the employer should negotiate, the employee should negotiate the salary with the employer and put the basic salary at 36,700 francs. So now with the rate of unemployment of the youth, they have no choice than to accept 50,000 as salary in Douala, 45,000 as salary in Douala. I have seen a master student who receives a salary of 75,000 francs in this same city. That the least and the most funniest room in this Douala is 15,000 francs. That's the least. And you take that salary and you have to pay me 15,000 francs transport. Imagine how much you will be left with in the pocket for health, feeding and all that. So this country, we really need the youth to take over. And for the youth to take over, if we think that it is through the ballot, we should be fooling ourselves. Because I was discussing with one of the cadre of the CBTM, he told me that he posted that Mr. B has failed. So that kick him out through the ballot.
The most constitutional way to act for the youth to take over is through the ballot. Though in some countries...
For the past 38 years, it has proven that through the ballot, it is impossible.
No,
let me tell you, it is not possible.
It is possible
impossible if we keep dreaming. Did Mr. B take power through the ballot? At the age Mr. B take power when he was less than 40 years. I am getting very soon I'll be 40. Because already this year I'm over 30. Very soon I'll be 40. It means that Mr. B got into that seat when he was almost my age, or just maybe a few years after my age. He was there. But here today, he is still in power. Look at my age. If he is still in power today, what about the people who are in front of me? So they have had no opportunity to also govern. He was handed power by Mr. Ahijo. Why can't he too look for a youth in his party or behind him that he has trained and have overpower to? They keep on telling us that there's no person capable to take over power after Mr. Biya. It means that the Mr. Biya has failed, because when you are in a post of responsibility, you need to be training your subordinate so in such a way that tomorrow, if you are not more there, they take over immediately without any negative consequences on the country. But these guys, because they think that they are gods, that they will sit there forever and ever. Look, there's what they call in politics uncontrollable circumstances. That things that happen to you that you cannot control, sickness, diseases, and death will not pass you by. If the ballot, you can be able to manipulate the ballot, death will not pass you by. Look, these guys have come out with what they call Eleka. Who appoints the director of Eleka? Is it not Mr. Biya? Is he not a political leader who is also contesting? Imagine if you want to go and play a football match and you are the one to appoint the referee. Will the referee blow against you?
That's a rhetorical question anyway, but I think that through the ballots we can do it, because if statistics prove that we are 20 million of us and only 6 million will have to register on the electoral list, how do you expect the opposition to win? That is practically impossible. Because the 6 million
that register are only from the citizen.
Of course, they're of the ruling party. So I don't think
when
that.
You go to the streets, the critics, everybody criticize the system.
Just thank you very much. BrigadeAntiSardinard, your point of view, how would your yes, even distracted me, thank you. How would your absence affect the country?
Actually, Vanessa, let me indicate here that no, it's not because things are tough that we may take the wrong way. I think that the authentic way in any democracy is to go to the polls and then topple the ruling regime. By that way, you are acceding power in a normal way. If it happened that the head of state came to power through appointment, it doesn't follow that. It does not mean that that's the normal way. The normal way is we carry out elections and we win, we elect them, we vote them out of office. That's why I would always want to indicate by telling the young people that from the 1st of January, registration into the electoral registers are launched. Your position, or you would assume leadership only if you participate.
Exactly,
in politics.
because
if you participate in politics.
Tamfo Jones says that they oppose the ruling party a lot on the street. Let them go and
oppose it in the polling station.
Exactly.
Register with the LECAM. Have your voters card. When elections come, go there and vote them out of office. In that way, we are going to regain our position as leaders. Vanessa, the one thing that I want to indicate here is, as the consequences of this absence of the young people, is the heightened insecurity that we have. Once they are unemployed, once they are idled, they look for survival through the other way. That is why we have a lot of insecurity in our towns, a lot of stealing, a lot of
illicit selling of fuel.
Oh, illicit. Okay, you call it that way. Those are the deviations, that the outcome of the lack of the young people in leadership positions. So I think that if we want to calm them down, we want to address the political situation in this country. Look at what is happening in the northwest and southwest regions. Most of those who are in the bushes, who are they? They are the young people. And somebody said it. We were let into the bushes because we found out that we were useless. We found out that we were unemployed. We found out that they never recognized our position. So if any young, they say the idleness is the devil's workshop. If any mind that is occupied will not think of doing something wayward. So if we want to address the situation in Cameroon, Vanessa, I think that we should occupy the young people. We should give them the position that they do. In that case, look at the president who came to France, President Macron. He was less than 40, and he's ruling France. So, which means Africans, we can also have presidents like he was saying.
Anyway, you say he's ruling France, but unfortunately, he doesn't allow the youth to rule their own countries in Africa.
No, he gets into that circle and he forgets that the young people have something to do. So I think that if we had President Paul Biya who came to power less than 40 years, less than 30 something years, then I think that he too can also give way to the young people, or can also involve the young people in the running of the country like leaders, Vanessa.
Thank you very much, BrigadeAntiSardinard. Tamfo Jones, your closing remark.
My closing remark is that we the youth, we are talented. Mr. Biya took the we are talking about him being a president.
We are talking about Africa.
No, I'm pointing finger at Mr. Biya because he is my president. He came into administration younger than that, so I think some 15 years before that. So I think that Mr. Biya, I am also old enough to take political position of responsibilities and see how we build this country. You people should leave. You have done your own. You are tired. Let's take from what you people have left so that we can continue and build this nation to be a greater nation.
Thank you very much, Tamfo Johnson. Thank you very much for your contributions. That's your point of view, Manga Venashus. Thank you for contributing as well.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was it for today's edition. Thank you very much for watching. Take the rendezvous for next week and do have a blessed weekend in the company of programs on the DBS television. 7 p.m. You'll be having the primetime newscast with Cynthia Nguemo. Goodbye.
This opens the way for President Felix Tshisekedi to appoint his Good evening and welcome to the Friday edition of the news on DBS television. This is of course the last edition for the week. We shall begin by giving you the headlines and then the details would follow right away. In the headlines, Cameroon prepares to face DRC this Saturday in the quarterfinals of the ongoing CHAN in Cameroon. This as the Republic of Congo and its team is facing challenges of COVID-19. Hotel and restaurant waiters and waitresses across Cameroon have met in a national competition in Douala, where the best in the sector has been selected. And in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Prime Minister is now former Prime Minister after he accepted to resign following the vote made by lawmakers to remove him from his position in the government of the country. Those were the headlines. Details will follow in a moment, so stay with us. If you are just tuning in, then you are watching DBS television. This is the 7 p.m. news presented by me, Cynthia Nguemo. We open this edition of the news beginning in sport, as quarterfinals of the African Championship currently ongoing in Cameroon will kickstart on Saturday, with the most expected match for Cameroonians being that of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon against the Leopards of the Democratic Republic of Congo. This game is also considered to be the biggest of the quarterfinals. It would be played at Japoma Stadium in Douala at 8 p.m. local time. Cameroon qualified for this stage after a long-fought match against Burkina Faso in Yaoundé, which ended with a 0-0 draw on January 24. The Democratic Republic of Congo, on the other hand, reached the latest 8th of the tournament on Monday, the 25th, after a 2-1 victory over Niger. Recall that the Leopards of the DRC had been ravaged by COVID-19 after 9 players tested positive and are now in isolation. The Congolese Federation has said their coach, goalkeeper and other players have all tested negative and took part in the training session held on Wednesday in the city of Douala. A consultation firm known as EduPro has launched its first section of activities in Cameroon to empower students in the socio-professional integration of young graduates into the job market of Cameroon. The event, which took place on January 24 in Douala, gave way for the youth to have some training in their career-oriented education. Nde Vanessa Shuyong took part in this event and now gives us the feedback.
In a workshop organized by EducPro Education and Professionalization, students, parents and representatives of enterprises met to exchange ideas on how youth can appropriately be equipped for a competitive job market. Given that about 76% of Cameroonian youth are unemployed due to numerous reasons, this consulting firm thought it wise to create a platform to orientate young learners in a career they have chosen.
We offer them personal development lesson coaching to bring to limelight the talents youths have. We accompany them with workshops, be in the domain of marketing, human resources management, such that if there is a need for a specific skill required, we can provide them even at the international level.
The objective of this offer is to boost the rate of employability of job seekers by getting them ready to become the golden talent needed by employers.
The search for a job is an art, a whole industry, and science in itself. Given it is a science, education professional looks for professional experts to enable a student to elaborate well on his or her project, thereby optimizing his enthusiasm, determination in search of a job.
To optimize their results, EducPro accompanies the students physically, emotionally and psychologically by putting in place all it takes to be ready. Alongside the government, schools and enterprises, the firm coaches, orientate and direct young dynamic youth to become entrepreneurs themselves.
Coming for this workshop, I was hoping to see projects for future entrepreneurs. The different programs proposed by the consulting firm assure youth, reduces frustration, and prepares them at the end of their studies. At the end of my studies, if I have difficulties to go for internship or get work, I can turn to EducPro.
The training some of these enterprises offer will permit the youth to be directly employed.
Offer training to youths that will permit them to have direct access to employment. It's no longer time to say, I have a diploma or a master's, when you cannot do something. In our company, it's the knowledge, the know-how, and the know-how to be that is important to us.
Education and professionalization thus provides training, coaching, and integration of young learners in the labor market, both at the national and international magnitude.
Still talking career and career choice, the 2021 edition of selecting best waiters and waitresses in Cameroon has taken place in the city of Douala, bringing together candidates from within and out of the littoral region, and in Douala particularly. This competition was used to stress the importance of the place of servants in this sector in and out of Cameroon. Mange Venasius attended it, and now he gives us the feedback.
With majestic steps, focus and concentration, these waiters and waitresses made strides to showcase their know-how in a competition that saw the participation of over 15 candidates drawn from renowned hotels and restaurants from within the city of Douala and beyond. Taking place at Lewat Hotel in Douala, Cameroon, Thursday, January 28, 2021, the jury had a well-defined target divided in 9 rubrics, each evaluated on 10 points. These candidates were expected to dress a dining table and then undress it within a given time frame. Talent, which were distinguished in Gwet Gael, who emerged the overall winner, becoming the best waiter in Cameroon for 2021, with Bema Victoire and Minyang Njok Donald as runners-up for the second and third places respectively. Besides going home with trophies and awards, these waiters and waitresses all demonstrated the richness with which Cameroon is blessed as a tourist destination.
The winner has all these qualities. You have seen he was well dressed, the way that he was setting up the table and everything was with professionalism. That is what is very important for us, because when you have customers, the customers in 3 stars, 4 stars, and above, people who are traveling a lot, and it's very important to have the professionalism.
Organized by Cameroun Hotel Industries and Tourism Employers Federation, the target of the competition is to let this important sector of the tourism industry to be valorized. The 2021 edition has gone down to history as a successful one, and all eyes are now turned to the next edition.
Journalists and media practitioners in the East region of Cameroon have just been commended concerning their great effort in ameliorating the state of COVID-19 in their region. This was manifested through a donation of COVID-19 preventive materials to men and women of this profession in the East region by the regional delegation of Public Health. In the following report, Vanessa Shuyong tells us that this was also aimed at boosting them to continue the great work. Now let's get her report.
The fight against coronavirus is known to have taken a slack turn in Cameroon, resulting to an upsurge in the number of infections and deaths, as reported by the Ministry of Public Health. However, in the East region, media outlets, both public and private, have been doing a commendable job with sensitizing the population against COVID-19 ever since the pandemic broke out in Cameroon. This, according to the East Regional Delegate of Public Health, Dr. Desiree Anissé Mintop, who assembled managing directors of media houses of the region of the Rising Sun on Thursday to congratulate them for their daily endeavors in the fight against COVID-19 in the region. He acknowledges the role of the media in passing the right information to the public with regards to the pandemic. In order to assist them in this noble task, the Regional Delegate of Public Health, accompanied by the Regional Delegation of Communication, thought it wise and helpful to donate to each man and woman of the media COVID-19 preventive materials to encourage their good fight.
We want to give them some material to protect themselves when they are doing their job, because now for the sensitization for the population to COVID-19 and other disease, to respect the barrier measure.
Charles Asale, Regional Delegate of Communications, while handing the items to the media, called on them to ensure the adequate use, accompanied by more sensitization and being exemplary. While receiving face masks, cartons of soap and hand-washing gel plus sensitization stickers, the journalists appreciated the move.
This initiative by the Regional Delegation of Public Health of the East to give material to fight against COVID to the men of the press is laudable, in the sense that those of us who work as pressmen are most exposed to dangers of contamination, because we work with the outside world, and the outside world, as we know, the virus has no limit. So we are most exposed, and we think this initiative has come at the right time, even though we thought it could have been done at the beginning of the pandemic. So we think it is something which is appreciable, and it is going to help us in our daily work.
It is coming late for sure, but it is not the end, says Minsante Regional Delegate.
This action will continue with the district, with the community radio, to improve the kit for these staff, communication staff, to work to the field.
The fight against COVID-19 continues not just for the media, but for the whole country and the world.
The University of Chang in the West region of Cameroon and municipal councils have just concluded a partnership agreement. The signing ceremony took place at the banquet hall of the council. This is for the putting in place of the concept of municipal university, which other councils have been adopting since 2019 in the West region and will in the days ahead be implemented in QC in the South region. It is a win-win partnership for the two institutions, as the Mayor Jacques Gabriel Kmer explains in the following excerpts gotten by our West Regional correspondent, Alexis Yangwa. Now listen to the mayor.
Today, you and the national opinion know that the Council of Chan and the University of Chan have a convention inside which we will do many things. We have many projects we have to implement in our council, and today you can be sure that the personnel, the mayor and the councillor, we have the opportunity to see their capacity be reinforced, and it is why we are very happy, and we can say to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Chan that we have done something very good in our country.
The sanitary condition of Kongsamba in the littoral region has been a major preoccupation for the authorities of this part of the country, as well as for the population. Gathered in a meeting presided at by the divisional officer, Yufendi Hamid, the administration recently united the populations with the administration in order to put hands together and see what they can do to give Kongsamba the facelift that it much deserves. Mange Venasius completes that story.
Quarter heads, service heads, school administrators, groups and associations all brainstormed in a meeting presided at by the divisional officer for Kongsamba 2 subdivision, Yufendi Hamid, with the aim of upgrading the sanitary situation of their area. This was to be achieved through relaunching the Thursday cleanup campaign exercise in the entire subdivision, an initiative that has always been the preoccupation of the mayor, Samin Patrice. The divisional officer used the occasion to invite the entire population to join forces with the administration so as to give a new facelift to their locality. It was equally an opportunity for them to begin preparations for the upcoming 55th edition of the Youth Day by harmonizing information for a successful celebration in Kongsamba 2 subdivision. The meeting took place on the 28th of January 2021 at the Divisional Officers Conference Room in Kongsamba 2 subdivision.
Now we open the African page with an update from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the Prime Minister Sylvestre Ilunga has accepted the Parliament's vote of no confidence in him, resulting to his removal from his position. He said on Thursday that he accepts the vote and he has accepted to resign from the post of Prime Minister in this country. This opens the way for President Felix Tshisekedi to appoint his loyalists to lead key ministries in the country. The departure of Ilunga, an ally of former President Joseph Kabila, strengthens President Tshisekedi's break from an alliance with Mr. Kabila to share power when he took office 2 years ago. The alliance, which faced Tshisekedi to bargain with his predecessor over any policy shift, was part of the challenges facing his government as it sought to calm violence in Congo's eastern part. Mr. Kabila's allies have dominated the administration until now. Tshisekedi had launched talks last month to broaden support for his government, helping him secure parliamentary majority. The presidency lately said 391 lawmakers out of 500 in Congo's lower house now backed the president's now political alliance known as the Sacred Union. And now in Guinea, opposition politician Oumar Silla, known as Fonike Mange, has received a prison sentence of 11 months with accusations of him inciting riots and causing disorder in the country. The critic of Guinea's President Alpha Condé was sentenced by a court in the country to the month-long prison term, accusing him of the said charges. He is an outspoken critic of President and was opposed to the constitutional change that Condé made to allow him to run for a third term. After running for for the post again, Condé, aged 82, won the vote in the violently disputed October 18 election. Oumar Silla was arrested in September, though he says he was kidnapped and detained. While he was taken away after the sentence, Silla said he would continue to fight against the election. Condé's re-election had caused mass protests that resulted to dozens of people being killed and hundreds arrested. Earlier this month, 2 other opposition figures were each sentenced to a year in prison on charges of inciting insurrection, and they were fined over 1 million francs CFA. Oumar Silla is a member of the opposition coalition FNDC in Guinea. And in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, farmers as well as landowners have won a battle against Shell, which is an energy company known all over the world. This follows an order by a Dutch court today, Friday, ordering Shell to pay compensation in a long-running case brought forth by 4 Nigerian farmers who accuse the oil giant of oil spill and widespread pollution. It comes after 13 years of legal battle for 2 villages in Niger's Niger Delta. The amount of compensation would be established later, and the date has not been set. Now, although only Shell's Nigerian subsidiary was held responsible, the decision is expected to pave a way for more environmental cases against the oil company. With that story from Nigeria, we mark an end to this edition of the news on DBS Television. Thank you for watching. I am Cynthia Ngwemo for presentation, and we do hope to see you on Monday while you stay on DBS Television and enjoy your weekend. Good night.